Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk all about 6mm Creedmoor, and specifically for the hand loaders. What type of powder should you be using to get the most out of your cartridge and rifle? I've had a bunch of people request this one, so I hope you guys enjoy this. And guys, this video is not going to be for the faint of heart. Real quick, for those that aren't really familiar with 6mm Creedmoor, well, it's exactly what you might think it'd be. It's a 6.5 Creedmoor neck down to 6mm. So it's kind of like a 243 Winchester with a fast twist and kind of optimized for the real heavy bullets. Now, technically, the 6mm Creedmoor is a smaller case than a 243 Winchester. So the 243 does beat it in velocity just by a little bit. But the 6mm Creedmoor is a pretty darn good cartridge. Surprisingly, though, it really hasn't become mainstream like the 6.5 Creedmoor. Just off the top of the bat, what powder should you be using for your 6mm Creedmoor? Well, none of these. Yep, I said it. These are all way too slow burning for a 6mm Creedmoor. With maybe exception to the 115 RDF with like a 30-inch barrel, N560 and H4831 SC might work. Just don't do it, guys. Don't be dumb. These are really slow overbore magnum powders. 6mm Creedmoor is not that type of magnum. And I know what you're going to say, but what about H4831 SC? This stuff is the magic stuff. It just works in everything you shoot it in. You are right. It is really good. But how's your velocity? As for H1000, also really good powder. Really good. But it's not for 6mm Creedmoor. It just isn't, okay? I've shot H1000 in a 243 Winchester, and if you remember, the 243 Winchester is a bigger case than a 6 Creedmoor. And this is the type of velocities you're getting with H1000. 2857. So yeah, it's a little too slow burning. And then, of course, anything Retumbo, N565, N570, N568, please, guys, way, 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 way too slow burning. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's go to the powders that do work really well for 6 Creedmoor. Here we go. This is the type of powder we should be using. Now, this is all dependent on bullet weight. If you are shooting really light bullets, which I know most of you aren't, N150, N140, they make real good sense. Now, neural bullet weights you're going to be shooting, which are well over 100 grain bullet, 103, 108, 110, maybe 115. These are your answers, okay? You're going to get great accuracy, but also really good velocity. All right, it's been a while since I've used Gordon's reloading tool, but I'm back at it. So we've put in 6mm Creedmoor. We've got the water grain capacity of it. And I was looking at most factory rifles and 6 Creedmoor come with a 24-inch barrel. So that's what we're going to go with. We're going to do something funny here. You probably don't usually do, but I just want to provide information for those that might be shooting little short varmint bullets out of a 6 Creedmoor. So here we go. 55 grain nozzler. And so what powder am I putting in there? N540. And so what kind of top velocity are we looking at 65,000 PSI? We're just a little over 4,000 feet per second. So woo-wee. And again, what I've always told you guys, what we're looking for is I want 100% burnt propellant, not just at the very top. For me, it's like, let's have 100% burnt propellant from 55,000 PSI up to 65,000 PSI. And then another thing we really want to see is the load ratio close to 100%, which N540 does it at almost 98%. We're going to go through this pretty quickly, okay? I've already showed you that N540 would be really good. You're basically at 98% case fill and at a top velocity of around 4,035 feet per second. Another really good powder, you're going to lose a bit on the velocity end, but Vitavori N140. You're at 93% case fill and a top velocity of 3,930 feet per second. This is all with a 24-inch barrel. Let's go to the Alliant powder. I know you can't really get it, but for those that already have it, there's Reloader 15. Ugh, it's really good. 99% case fill at 4,000 feet per second. Let's go to the Hodgdon and IMR powders. We have H4895. 92% case fill, 4,065 feet per second. Wow, did not expect that one. Lastly, we've got my big jug here for it. IMR 4064. 96% case fill, 3,960 feet per second. Let's go ahead and move up in bullet weight. So pulled GRT back up. This time I've loaded it with a 80 grain Barnes TTSX. This is for those that, I don't know, maybe want to get some really good velocities for deer hunting and they want a controlled expansion bullet. What powder should we be using for this? One that I pulled up is Vitavori N150. And so again, we've got that 100% burnt propellant and then a really good case fill at almost 98% with N150. And then you're seeing a top velocity of 3,440 feet per second, which is moving pretty darn good. Let's go through the list of appropriate powders for an 80 grain bullet in 6 Creedmoor. So number one, I already showed you this, N150, 98% case fill, estimated top velocity of 3,440 feet per second. Next powder I want to show you, yep, N550. This is going to get you really good velocity. We're getting 97% case fill and a top velocity of 3,535 feet per second. The next powder is going to be an Alliant powder. You're going to have a high case fill, which nothing wrong with that, 103% case fill, and a top velocity with Reloader 16, 3,530 feet per second. And lastly, IMR 4350. We get 100% case fill and a top velocity of 3,470 feet per second. All right, no more playing around with these lighter bullets. I know most of you aren't getting a 6 Creedmoor to shoot a 55 grain or an 80 grain bullet. So let's talk about bullets, high BC bullets that are over 100 grains. For example, like this 107 grain Norma bullet. Let's go to Gordon's reloading tool. Okay, let's use the 103 grain Hornady ELDX. Not my favorite bullet, but a lot of people are using it in 6 Creedmoor. The powder we're going to showcase is Vitavori N160. And then for N160, we're getting a really good case fill, 103%. And then, of course, 100% burnt propellant. Near max, we're getting a little over 3,140 feet per second. What are the other powders to use for 103 grain ELDX or bullet or right around that weight, 100 grain bullet? Let's first start with N160. As I said, 103% case fill, 3,140-ish feet per second. So pretty darn good performance. Next up, we have Vitavori N555, the triple nickel. A little bit more case fill, 104%, and just about the same velocity. We're around 3,135 feet per second. How about some Hodgdon powder? H4350. We have 92% case fill and really good velocity at 3,150 feet per second. For heavier bullets, this just might be one of the best powders you could get. Up next, we can't forget about the boomer stuff. IMR 4350 at 97% case fill. A little bit slower on the velocity, but still pretty respectable at 3,100 feet per second is kind of the max for it. And then let's go to an Alliant powder, Reloader 17. We're getting 92% case fill. And yeah, this stuff, if you want velocity and you have Reloader 17, do it. 3,190 feet per second. Let's get to the heavy stuff. So I've put in Gordon's reloading tool, the 110 grain A-tip, but there's a few other bullets. You could, Berger has a 109. You could use Nosler's RDF at 115. So what kind of powder should we be using? Well, surprisingly, and not really surprisingly, they're basically the same powders you should be using for the 103-ish grain bullet. With the exception to one powder, which I've already pulled up, that's Reloader 19. Now, this one's going to have an asterisk next to it. It's only really going to have 100% burnt propellant at like 61,000 psi and above. It's not the most ideal, but it can get you some darn good velocity. So we're looking at over 3,090 feet per second at 65,000 psi with a really good case fill. So if you want your velocity, do Reloader 19. As for the other powders you could use for 6 Creedmoor with the 110, 115, 109 Burger, you're going to want to use H4350, as I just said previously. It might be the best all-around powder for 6 Creedmoor and heavier bullets. Really good performance. So what are we looking at with H4350? You're going to be a little over 90% case fill and 3,060 feet per second. Then N160, we are looking at 101% case fill, a little bit slower on the velocity, maxing out probably around 3,030-ish, 35 feet per second. Still pretty darn good. Vitivori N555, the triple nickel, 103% case fill, and honestly around the same velocity, 3,030, 3,035 feet per second. Let's not forget about the Boomer powder. IMR 4350, 96% case fill, maxing out a little over 3,000 feet per second at 65,000 psi, around 3,005 feet per second. And lastly, as I had said in Gordon's reloading tool, if you can get some Reloader 19, it's good. 101% case fill, top velocity 3,090 feet per second. Appreciate you guys watching the video. Let me know down below, what powders have you been using? Where have you seen success? What kind of velocities are you getting? I hope this is helpful for those looking to get the most out of your 6 Creedmoor. Hope you have a wonderful day.